So if you're watching this video, you're probably a little something like me. You're a teenager, probably in high school, and you've heard all about this great investing thing and about how some people have made millions of dollars online through just investing. They're like, I put just some money into this cryptocurrency and now I'm a millionaire and you can do it too. And you probably want to do it, which makes sense. It's a great thing. But you're probably also confused as to how to do it, what to even invest in, and so on and so forth. So, as a fellow teenager myself who has gotten into investing and done quite a bit of research on the topic, I'm going to give you the two main options that you have, put very simply, and exactly how to act on them immediately after watching this video. So, let's get right into it. Your first option is investing in an index fund, specifically the S&P 500. And the reason I say this is because, this is basically the safe option. It's what everyone does. Like, your uncle, your grandpa, and every single person you know, your teachers, just any adult in your life, insert name, has some sort of money in the S&P 500. And why? Because it's an absolute no-brainer. The S&P 500 on average goes up by about 10% each year. So that means that if you put in $100,000 into the S&P 500 today, 1 year later you will have, on average, most likely, about $10,000 more. That's really good, right? That's quite a lot of profit. But a lot of people might be saying, oh, well, the S&P 500 is so basic, it's boring, there must be a better strategy, right? There always is. In video games, in every single skill-based thing in life, there's always that basic beginner option that everyone knows, and it's yeah, it works, but there's always the more advanced option. But when it comes to investing, all of your other options are really risky, and the S&P 500 is great, it works, and it's safe, so that's great to invest in, especially since you have basically no skill and no risk capacity. As a teenager, you're probably totally broke as well. So trying to invest into a singular company, right? It's really risky, and even professional stock traders who do hours and hours and hours of research into every single individual company, not even they are consistently able to guess which company is going to do well, and it's just not worth it unless you're Warren Buffett, which you're obviously not, and that's why you're watching. If you were Warren Buffett, if you were good enough to invest in something other than the S&P 500, you wouldn't be watching anything on YouTube about how to invest. You would be making the videos about how to invest, and you'd be making a good darn lot of money off of them because you would have to be really good at it. So, S&P 500, what is it? Okay, let me explain. It's something called an index fund, which put simply is just normally when you invest in a company, you're investing specifically in that company, right? But the way index funds work is they're a mix of a bunch of companies. They're one big basket with a bunch of companies inside. And when you invest into an index fund, you're investing a little bit into each of these companies. So the S&P 500 is the 500 biggest companies in the US by market cap. And what happens is when you invest into the S&P 500, you're investing a little bit into each of those 500 companies. And that's kind of what makes it safe, because Sorry, there was some siren that went off in the distance. But what I was saying is the S&P 500 is safe exactly for this reason. If you're confident that the general, US market, the US stock market is generally going to be on approximately an upwards climb over time, right? Then, invest in the S&P 500 because it will. right? As I said, on average, it's going to grow by about 10% each year, which is great. Just invest in that. But now you might be wondering, okay, well, how do I do it? So S&P 500 sounds great. I just put my money into it, and it just kind of grows by 10% every year. What fun. How do I do it? Well, you would have to do some stuff that you most likely aren't able to do yet because you're a teenager. And what I mean by that is there are some apps that you can use to invest, right? To buy stocks and invest in the S&P 500. You need these specialized apps, which are oftentimes 18 plus, 21 plus. It's like, if you're under 18, there's not many apps, at least that I'm aware of, that allow you to buy stocks and invest at this young age. So you might be wondering, well, is it over for me? Do I have to either lie about my age or just not invest? Is that the dilemma you are giving me? No, there is a better option. The thing is, you probably have adults in your life, be it parents or other trusted adults, that are willing to invest the money for you. As in, let's say I want to invest $100 into the S&P 500. It's not a lot, but it's better than nothing, really. So I would say I would talk to my dad. That's what I would do. And I would talk to my dad, say, hey, I want to invest in the S&P 500. Like, could you teach me about business? You know so much about business, and, I look up to you so much, and it would just mean a lot to me if you could teach me how to do this and pass down your experience in these things down to me, right? And if a parent hears that, they're going to be so proud of you. They're going to be, oh, like, my kid, please allow me to teach you about this business stuff. I've been waiting for years. And they will happily teach you all about it. And you'll say, okay, so I want to invest $100 in the S&P 500, but I can't do it myself. So you're going to give your $100 to your dad, and then your dad is going to invest it for you. Boom. Through his account, he's going to invest that $100, and problem solved. Sounds great. And that's all there is to it. But as I mentioned before, there is a second option. So what is the second option, you might be wondering? Because I've already told you that all other types of investing, other than something like the S&P 500, is totally useless for now and very risky, and you probably don't want to be doing it. So what do you do? Well, there is this great book called The Millionaire Fastlane, and it's a great book. I've heard it recommended by a bunch of other people as well, and in it is mentioned a different way to investing. What do I mean by that? Instead of investing in a company, instead of investing in multiple companies, which you would be doing with the S&P 500, instead of investing your money into others and putting your trust in them to possibly grow their businesses so that you can make marginal profits off of whatever tiny increments of increase in market cap those companies make, right? Instead of betting on that, you have a better option. Invest in yourself. Because think about it this way, right? Let's say that if you invest in the S&P 500 and you put in $100,000, which, by the way, if you're a teenager, you do not have that sort of money lying around absolutely anywhere. Okay, so in the first year, you're gonna make $10,000, maybe, if you're lucky. You could be losing money on your first year, right? And you're gonna go up by 10% each year. Sounds pretty nice. First of all, you don't have that sort of money, so realistically, you're gonna put in maybe like $1,000 and then make $100 a year from that investment. Or you could be even putting in like $100 and then making $10 a year from that investment. That's all. $10 a year, $100 a year. If you're lucky, maybe $1,000 a year. As a teenager, yeah, that's You can't expect to be investing like $100,000 as a teenager. So let's say you're making best case scenario like $1,000 a year from that. Okay. And then I present to you the other option, investing in yourself, investing in your own business. For that same, so if you're making $1,000 a year, you've invested $10,000. For that $10,000, you can go and buy a super high quality course. Let's say Hamza's Adonis Gang. No, it doesn't have to be that one. It can be any like course that suits whatever your need is. That's gonna be, let's say, $100. Okay, sure. Let's say your business is you want to become a YouTuber. Okay, let's buy a high quality mic, $100, a camera, or just use your iPhone camera. Maybe get a tripod. How much is that going to cost? Like $10. Maybe decorate your background a little bit. That's something I should be doing, really. Get some lighting equipment. Okay. Still, you've wasted like less than $200, and well, maybe more if you bought a camera, but like everything else, less than $200 still, and you have the experience required to start a YouTube channel. Okay, well, what do you need for the YouTube channel? Okay, you can buy a coach to improve your speaking skills. You can buy a coach, like personal tutoring coach, to improve your storytelling skills. You can go buy a course on how to improve on YouTube. You can buy a premium subscription to one of those apps like vidIQ that will help you analyze YouTube videos and analyze your own content and others' content to see what is trending and what will work. You can do that, right? You can invest into, you can buy books. You can buy books on entrepreneurship and how to grow your channel and etc., etc. When you reach that $10,000 mark, you can buy so many things for your YouTube channel if you're being like cost effective. Like, we're assuming you don't spend all $10,000 on a movie level camera. Like, yes, obviously, you probably already have a decent iPhone, and that's probably already going to be good enough video quality for you to just use that, right? And so camera should cost possibly nothing. A mic, you can get a high quality mic for $100, right? Like, if that's $100 and the average thing that you get is $100, you can buy so many things. You have $10,000. You can buy like 100 things. That's so much, right? And imagine by the end of the year, if you're dedicating all of your time, by the end of multiple years, with all of this equipment, you probably would have grown so much on YouTube. And you're probably going to be making more than $1,000 a year on YouTube. Or you know what? How about this? Just get any sort of job that pays any sort of decent money, and you will be making more than $1,000 a year, which you would be getting from the investment you made earlier, right? Investments are extremely long term. If you invest $100,000 now into the S&P 500, you can have like 10 million 50 years or so later. Yes, but that's 50 years or so later. Who wants to invest money now and to be broke until you're retired and then you have $10 million sitting in that account? Nobody wants that. So your other option, or you can use both options, which is what I'd recommend, is invest in yourself. Invest in your own business. Put your money and invest it back into your own business, because by reinvesting in your business, the change you're going to make in your own business is way more than 10% per year, right? You can invest $10,000 and all of your effort into a business. With $10,000, you can become an absolute expert in absolutely any business you want. And when you become an absolute expert in absolutely any business you want, you can make more than the $1,000 in a year you would be making from that investing. You can be making $1,000 a month. Even that's too little. Like, if you imagine once you've become an absolute expert at this thing, a few years from now, you can be making $10,000 per month. And is that going to be even comparable to what you've done with investing? Oh yeah, it's passive income. Yes, it's passive income. That's great. But imagine what that would have done if you just invest all of that money, and instead of putting it into some safe thing on the side, you put it all into your business. now you're not making a little bit of extra tiny bit of money on the side. No, you're making like 10 times more money than you normally would be through your business because you invested that into your main source of money making instead of using some different thing on the side. But which one should you do? Honestly, you should do a mix of both and actually prioritize investing in yourself because, as I said, you don't have $100,000 to invest. And will that compound over time? Yes, because by the next year, you're going to have $110,000, which when it grows by 10%, you're going to be making more than $10,000. And you keep that, it's like exponential growth, which I hope you've learned in school. It's not going to be linearly growing 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000 every year. It's going to be like 10,000, 20,000, and then 30,000 that the next year, and then like 50,000 the next year, and then 75,000 the next year, and then 120,000 the next year. Yes, it's going to grow like that, and I made those numbers totally up, but it's going to increase increasingly. Yes, but even still, you don't have the sort of money, and neither do I, where that's going to matter. If I invest like $500 and I'm going to get $50 a year, what is $50 a year when I could start my own business and it could be the shittiest business? Like, I can take a course on thumbnail making with $10,000. I can buy Photoshop. I can take 50 different courses on excellent thumbnail making. I can take a course on how to freelance. I can buy an asset pack with all the resources I need. And after all of that, I probably won't even have spent $1,000. Yeah. And with that, okay, great. And oh no, sorry. We're using the example where we invested 500. Okay. So we take that 500, we buy Photoshop, we buy a course on thumbnail making, we buy an asset pack, and we buy a course on how to advertise your freelancing. You can do that for $500. And let's say you create thumbnails for $20 per thumbnail, which is totally reasonable. You could absolutely sell it for way more, right? If you just do that for 3 clients, 20, 20, 20, you've made $60. And 3 clients, you can do that in 3 days if you work that hard. So by investing that $500 into yourself rather than the S&P, you've made that $60 in 3 days rather than the 1 year it took to make $50 in the S&P, right? That's the idea. So invest mainly in yourself, but remember, yes, if you invest in the S&P, it will compound over time, and it is nice to have money in there. So put some in there as well. Learn to invest. You will have to use it later on, and the later on you get in life, the more effective it's going to be because the more money you will have to be able to invest. Because the more money you can invest, the more money you can make. And until then, it doesn't mean much, but at least you can have the experience and the skills gained from having invested. You already have a head start on everyone else. So that's nice, but keep in mind that other option as well. And I hope this helped. I will see you next time, and if you found this video at all useful, please like, subscribe, comment, anything. Highly appreciated, and I will see you next time.